Item C, Balanced District Scorecard Update Priority 3, Ms. Chancellor.
Yeah, I think, are you going to move over to the podium?
I think we have the clicker working
Okay.
from here, so we'll see how it goes. If not, I may need to get up and move in just a minute. But Madam President, board members, executive staff, and guests, I have the privilege tonight to give an update on priority 3 of our Balanced District Scorecard, and that is the stakeholders portion. It is we collaborate with students, families, and community members to support our learning. So we'll start tonight with our first objective, which is objective 3.1, which is student relationships will be supported through regular opportunities for feedback. Our key actions here conduct campus and district student panels and/or surveys to gather feedback. So I do want to mention that all campuses do something. Many of them do many things. So we're just going to give you a little bit of an overview of examples from each, the elementary, the middle, and the high, because we could go on for a really long time about all of the things that they do. But on the campus level, again, every community handles it just a little bit differently, specifically for their needs. At Longs Creek Elementary, they surveyed their first through fifth grade students last month on campus culture and safety. They actually had about 350 responses, and they're going to go through all of those responses, analyze them, and then make changes or talk about whatever it is that they're seeing trends from. At Ed White Middle School, the administration meets with student council monthly in order to get student feedback there. They do start with predetermined topics to have a discussion on, and then it's open for Q&A so that the students can talk about whatever is important to them or top of mind at that point. At Churchill High School, they hold a House of Commons, which is their student representatives. They meet once a semester with administrators to discuss trends on campus, what's on their mind, any issues that they might be having. And it's important to note that each sport and student organization sends a representative. So it's a very diverse group with a lot of different opinions, thoughts, and information. At the district level, we have the Student Voice Advisory Committee, and this is obviously a vital way that Dr. Micah and staff tap into the students' voices and gather feedback directly from them. It launched in 2019, and it's made up of juniors and seniors from all of the NEISD high schools. The committee convened 4 times during the 22-23 school year. Just a few weeks ago, actually, on November 30th, Dr. Micah met with ambassadors from this year's Student Voice group, and they talked a lot about student discipline and also about classroom disruptions. A large part of their concern centered around vaping at the campuses and also disrespectful behavior that's going on in the classrooms. At the May Student Voice meeting, students also offered feedback on the school calendar as well as the parent-student grievance process. Another opportunity for student feedback comes from our Kids School Health Advisory Committee, or our KSHAC. This is made up of middle and high school students, and they offer insight and feedback to then go back to the overall SHAC. There are 14 active members, and they most recently met in October. For 3.1, our progress measures and long-term outcomes overlap a little bit because they are ongoing here. Feedback from the Student Voice Advisory Committee has led to several changes, actually. One in graduation dress code and also in toilet paper, if you can believe that or not. So the students mentioned that they weren't exactly happy with the toilet paper selection at the campuses. And so Dr. Micah brought that back to executive staff, and now there is a different brand of toilet paper at their campuses, and hopefully they're liking that a little bit better. For the graduation dress code change, students are now allowed to wear sneakers, which they weren't allowed to do before, and ties are no longer required. So that was something that was important to them. One change that came from the KSHAC actually came from working with our school nutrition department. They mentioned that whole apples were a challenge for kids with braces to eat. And so now they have an option of sliced apples in the cafeteria to make that a little bit easier. So moving on to objective 3.2, which is family relationships will be supported through regular communication and opportunities for feedback and engagement. We'll start with the key actions at the high school level. Again, these are things that go on at a lot of our schools, but these are just a few examples here. From the data program at Roosevelt High School, they held a data family night, and they also held a donuts with the director. The donuts with the director gave parents the opportunity to come speak directly with the director and get information. The data family night is catered to ninth graders and their families to help create a sense of tighter community and togetherness. And they did this with a game night and opportunities to talk. They had a Q&A also with the data director. There were a total of 15 families that came out. And another example, they had another family night that was held last week with a gingerbread house decorating contest. Fentanyl community meetings have been held at multiple high schools. They've been held at Johnson, Roosevelt, and Churchill so far this semester, and MacArthur's session is scheduled for this Thursday to take place. They're open to all community members, and they're hosted in partnership with the Bexar County Sheriff, the DEA, as well as NEISD family engagement. Many coffee with the principal events are held. And for example, in August, Todd Bloomer, who is the principal over at Churchill High School, he held a Bagels with Bloomer event, and more than 50 parents attended. So it was very well attended. They discussed the new vaping law, lunch options, and information on how to join the PTA if they were interested. At the middle school level, our middle schools host back-to-school forums in August. That way, students and their families can come, they can tour the school, they can get their class schedules, meet their teachers, and hear from administrators. One example you'll see there on the right-hand side, the Cub Camp flyer over at Jackson Middle School. Many campuses, again, host the Coffee with Principal events, some type of outreach session to connect with families in an open forum setting as well. Moving to the elementary level, we have a variety of outreach examples here. And in addition, again, they have the Coffee with Principals as well. Many of them do. Over at Canyon Ridge Elementary, they actually have a parent feedback form that's posted online and then also in the principal newsletter. And it asks users to rate the quality of education and safety among many other items. Similarly, Hidden Forest Elementary School has an online feedback survey as well in order to help gauge how they're doing in areas that they may need to improve upon. Castle Hills Elementary School has a monthly Ask the Principal section in the PTA newsletter. So questions can be sent in, and then in the next newsletter, they get their answers from that. At the October meeting, they had a counselor and mental health professionals presenting on strategies to help with stress and anxiety. And while this was taking place, students went to the gym and rotated through different activities on the same concepts. Castle Hills also held a clay night recently to make ornaments. And you can see that picture on the bottom right. They had a really, really good turnout there. At the district level, monthly board meetings here offer forums for the community to be heard, obviously, during matters from the floor. We also had District of Innovation public meetings twice last year, along with a Google form to submit questions. Virtual town halls regarding the school calendar were held last January. Human sexuality and abstinence education curriculum review meetings were held March 30th and then again on April 13th. Those meetings were recorded and then they were posted to the SHAC page. Parents could also send feedback via feedback submission link, or they could actually email SHAC. Dual language community meetings are being held at all dual language elementary campuses right now, and these will also be available virtually in February. Our Leadership Northeast program is held once a month during the school year, and various programs offer nights for parents to come in and ask questions specifically about the programs that they may have questions about. Now we're going to dig into some 3.2, our progress measures, which is opportunities for family voice are gathered, and then they're incorporated into our decision-making process. Starting with the feedback survey that I mentioned just a second ago about Canyon Ridge that we told you. The principal shares the results from the survey with the leadership team so they can look for trends. The survey is anonymous. They also share the information with their campus improvement committee as another source of data. One change made from these surveys already has actually been to rearrange the schedule just a little bit at that particular campus so that more kids could participate in multiple clubs, because that was something that they felt was very important. As for the dual language community meetings that are currently ongoing, we're gathering feedback there, listening to parents. No final decision has been made, and we are continuing to meet with families and stakeholders over the next couple of months. That feedback will, of course, be gathered and incorporated into the decision-making process. Looking at our long-term outcomes, which is to disseminate specific communication about pertinent topics. We create these graphics that you see here on the screen for social media. They're created so that it makes them very easily shareable, easy to read, and understandable. So, for example, our See Something, Say Something campaign focuses on spreading awareness about the NEISD tip line. We work to educate parents and students about House Bill 114 regarding vaping that went into effect in September. We also share information about the dangers of fentanyl. We started a Did You Know campaign, which hopefully helps educate and share facts about our district that people just may not know. For example, you can see that one there. It says, did you know 87% of NEISD's $615 million budget goes to employee salaries? We also work to educate our families about the registration process, how to use Skyward. We advertise career fairs, college and career expo, magnet application deadlines, and our recently announced 2024 graduation dates, and our upcoming community meetings on school accountability, just to name a few things. Now we're going to take a look at some long-term outcomes and specifically messaging from Dr. Micah. Some context for you, all of Dr. Micah's messages are sent to roughly 62,000 parents/guardians. It does fluctuate sometimes from month to month, but it's around 63,000. We also post the messages on our website on the main page there. We also put them on social media, and then they're archived on the NEISD YouTube page. You'll also, I hope, recall our 6-part series on accountability, which we just did in October. We've shared multiple legislative updates along with messaging about the new safety specialist position that you all approved back in August. Parent messages are sent in video form. There's also a script that goes along with them in case someone prefers to just read it instead of watching it. But they're sent every Friday, and they cover a variety of topics from vaping, tip line, mental health, whatever may be going on, so that we can continue to communicate with our community in that way. Employee messages are also sent every Friday in the same form, and they cover everything from employee voice survey results, mental health offerings, information about our insurance provider, and news on the recent retention supplement, just to name a few examples there. Objective 3.3 is community relationships will be supported through regular communication and opportunities for feedback and engagement. Our first key action was to develop a survey button on the NEISD website /social media to ask, how are we doing? So our survey actually went live in September, just a few months ago. It was shared on the website, on social media. It was also shared in Dr. Micah's parent and employee messages, and then it was also in our parent and employee monthly newsletters. We collected data through December 1st for the purposes of this presentation. And through December 1st, we've received a total of 1,118 responses from employees, parents, guardians, and community members. So here are our progress measures, information from the survey thus far. We asked parents the question, I am pleased with the quality of education my child's school is providing for my child. We had 396 responses to this particular question, agree and strongly agree, make up 71.5% of those responses. For the question, overall, how safe does your child feel at school? There were 350 responses, with very safe and extremely safe making up 59.2% of the responses. Moderately safe was 30%, and you can see the other two categories there. For my child's school gives me information about how I can help my child be successful. There were 370 responses, with agree and strongly agree making up 68.7% of the answers. The following question was asked of parents, and it was also asked of community members. I feel the district tries to communicate with me and seek my input. There were 476 responses, with always, sometimes, and often making up 75.7% of the responses. In order to meet our long-term outcomes, we will be going through the data of this survey. While the survey results are fairly positive, there is always room for improvement, and we will be looking to see where we can make changes if needed. A caveat to this particular survey was if someone rated us in the bottom category, it then prompted them to leave specific comments. So that was part of it, and in total we received 262 comments. Now some of them do just have a period there, they didn't answer, or an NA, but we will be siphoning through all of those comments so that we can really determine and drill down particular items that parents may be wanting changes on, or what they may think that we need improvement for. Our next key action for 3.3 is to facilitate community meetings to discuss high-level topics and then have a Q&A session. So we chose school finance for our first community meeting, which was held April 25th. Budget season was about to begin, so that was top of mind. People were receiving their property tax bills, so we thought this would be a great opportunity to give them information and to answer any questions that they may have. Our next community meeting, by the way, is set for tomorrow, December 12th, and this one will focus on school accountability. So let's talk about that first meeting that we held back in April. We invited approximately 60,000 community members via email or postcard. We invited NEISD families and staff through emails, and we reached out to homeowners associations in our communities. It was also promoted through neisd.net as well as on social media. We also decided that it would be a good idea to set the meeting after a superintendent's award ceremony, which was already going on about an hour and a half before that. We thought that this might maximize our attendance because some people were already going to be there for the superintendent's award, and it would also help with the efficiency of our staff. Staff included the presenters, of course, communications and media production teams, an NEPD officer, district translator, and IT personnel to assist with technology during the exit survey. Student greeters also were on hand from Churchill to help people come in, welcome them, and get them signed in. So here are our results from that meeting. We had a total of 11 people who sign in as attendees. 7 of those 11 people did respond to our exit survey. Of those 7, the results were generally favorable. They said that the location was good. They said the subject matter was something that they did want more information on, and that they walked away knowing more, that the presenters did a good job of that. For those that couldn't make it to the actual meeting, we did record the entire thing. We then posted it to our district YouTube page, and to date, it has 243 views of that. That link was also shared on NEISD Facebook page, and we also posted it on our website. On our website itself, there were 25 views from that. Now to our long-term outcomes to disseminate specific communication, and we're going to start with social media here. You can see our numbers there on the left-hand side of the screen. Obviously, Facebook is by far where the majority of our community and our parents get the information. We have 44,900 followers on our Facebook page. So the information on the right-hand side is going to be from August 1st, 2022 through July 31st of 2023. So that's the school year that we're discussing for the information on the right. NEISD has 6 of the top 12 most engaging posts in all of Texas for all of Texas school districts. And of the districts with a post in the top 12, we're actually the smallest district when it comes to student population. NEISD had the highest number of engagements. And an engagement, just as a reminder, is anytime someone likes or shares or comments. So they're actually engaging with that post. We came in first, again, in the entire state of Texas with over 610,000 engagements. And just to give you some context, the second place district for their engagements were 146,000. So again, 146,000 for second place, and we were 610,000. That tells us so much. It tells us that our community is engaged with the posts, with our information that we're putting out. They come to us as a source for that, and what we're putting up is resonating in some way with them. NEISD also had the most Facebook posts in total of Texas school districts with 2,508. And then the second place was 1,493. Again, just as another reminder, we are not the largest school district. And so I have to just brag just for a second because this is a one-person team. There is one person that does social media for this district. And in a lot of the other districts, especially the larger ones, there's 2, 3, 4 people on the team. So to have a one-person team and to have these kind of numbers like that, it's really remarkable. That's no less than remarkable. So again, it says that our community is resonating with us and the kind of topics and the stories that we are connecting with our community in that way. So let's talk about our campus Facebook pages now. In 2019, under the leadership of Dr. Micah wanted every single campus to have a dedicated Facebook page for each campus as well as magnet program. We didn't have that back in 2019. Some did, some didn't. It was very hit or miss. And so at that time, that was established for every single campus and department, and one social media editor was assigned to assist with that information. I do want to be clear, it's not a position. It's already somebody who's working at the campus, oftentimes a teacher who has a passion for social media and says, hey, I want to take this on. So they're doing that also, after hours or when they have a conference period, that sort of thing. They're helping to spread our message. So fast forward now to 2023, we actually have 400 social media editors. And a lot of our campuses are doing teams now. So they find it more effective if, hey, they're going to be the first grade team. If anything happens in first grade, we're going to post it second grade, third grade, fourth grade, fifth grade. So there are multiple people at each campus who are working toward the goal of posting positive information. So our one person, our social media marketing coordinator, actually goes out, does training with these teams, gives best practices, offers tech support when something isn't working correctly, really just kind of helps navigate what they're posting and how they're posting in order to increase all of our engagements. So these campus pages help us support family and community relationships through regular communication and obviously opportunities where they can engage, ask questions, that sort of thing. And here's actually a really good example of the positivity of a campus Facebook page. So last year, the San Antonio police chief came out to Delview Elementary as part of our Meals for Shields program. And if you're familiar with that, we started it back in 2018, and a uniformed officer can come and eat for free, but sit with the kiddos. So it's kind of a win-win situation there. Well, the police chief, the SAPD police chief, decided to come out. He did bring several other officers, so there were a lot of police cars from SAPD outside of the school that day. So all of a sudden, the phone started ringing, right? Why is there such a large presence of SAPD vehicles outside? And so the principal quickly posted this precious photo that you see here of the police officers with the kids and said, you know, SAPD is here for Meals for Shields, and the calls stopped and all the positive comments started coming in. And so it was an easy, fast way for her to show the positive impact and, you know, to let everyone know that everything was in fact okay. So I want to now talk about our media, hold on. Did I skip? Yeah. Clicker. Okay, so our media production team. As a whole, they produce 150 to 200 videos every single year. As part of this, it is Dr. Micah's messages to employees and parents, including those accountability series, the legislative updates. They cover events like Wall of Heroes celebration. They edit videos for monthly teacher feature segments. If we have a program that needs a promotional video, ICSI, CETA, something that's coming up new, they're going to do that. If videos are also needed for training purposes, an example of this would be maybe school nutrition needs a training video on how to properly use a knife and how to properly cut something safely. They will work on that so that then school nutrition can push that out to all of their employees. They also manage our district YouTube channel as well as 96 other campus and department YouTube channels. By the way, they averaged 122 new viewers each day last month, so we're continuing to grow that. We also archive every graduation ceremony dating all the way back to the 90s. They're also in charge of live streaming across the district. They're live streaming, for example, this board meeting right now, shack meetings, and then our graduation ceremonies, of course. One thing that you do see here on the bottom right-hand side, they're also responsible for any redactions on video footage for open records requests. So this is a 3-person team who takes care of all of this. And when there are an influx, let's say, of video redactions that need to be done, one person will be then focused on that, of course, and then there's 2 people who are doing all of the other things that need to be done across the district. Our web services team maintains the district and campus websites as well as our mobile app. This includes the district page, 78 campus program pages, and additional external sites as needed. All in all, I'll just say it's 100,000 plus pages, which again, I inherited the web team about 2 years ago. They fell under the communications umbrella, and when they told me that they had 100 plus pages that they were responsible for, and there were 2 of them, I was shocked, absolutely shocked. Dr. Micah kind of mentioned it a second ago, but they just do excellent work. They do a whole lot, as you can see here, and I won't go over all of that, but I do want to focus on the last bullet, campus webpage redesign, because that has been an undertaking, and we are now in our final stages. So we're very excited about that. The process actually began in 2019. We conducted a needs assessment and an analysis. Then in 2020, Campus Webpage Advisory Committee were formed, and these teams are parents, principals, community members, really asking them, it's all about usability, right? How do you search? What do you want to know about? What should be on the top bullets? What should be in the drop downs? We really wanted to analyze where we were getting the most clicks, because that's where you know people want to search it. So we need to make those places as easy as possible for people who come to our website. It's very frustrating to have to search and go through 50 clicks, but you can't put everything on the first page either. So you have to kind of decide, and that's where the survey and the talking to parents and measuring all of that really comes in. So we really wanted to focus on that. For each campus, a dedicated campus redesign team was then assembled, and you can see here the phases In May of 22, we launched the elementary schools. In May of 23, we launched the secondary schools. And coming up here next May, coming up May in 2024, we're going to launch all the magnets. So right now, we're in the data collection, working with those directors and making sure that we are all on the same page when it comes to what should be there, what should be prominent, and what needs to really be very easily accessible for parents. So last year, the web team actually added one person, and it's a SEO specialist. So what that is, it's a search engine optimization specialist. So sounds very fancy, but basically in a nutshell, what it is, the idea is to understand how people are searching and move us up in those searches. I don't know about you guys, but when I Google something, I really don't go past that first page. I Google something, whatever comes up, I'm clicking on whatever is on that first page. So the idea is to move us up in the searches, which makes it so much easier for parents to get information, possible parents who may be looking to move to our district, that sort of thing. So a couple of examples here. The SEO said, hey, why don't we make some changes to Dr. Micah's message? Previously, when we sent those out, it would really kind of be a general title. It would say parent message and then the date. And so the suggestion that we wanted to kind of experiment with and see if it made a difference was to really hone down and give a specific title on what the message was about. And so an example of that is like, what do you need to know for this new school year? Instead of parent message. And so when we started doing that, the views really did increase. I will say here, to give an example of how many views there are, it's hard because when we send this message out, it goes directly to people's personal emails. So we can't gauge those personal emails on if they watched it or not because it's their personal email. The only way that we can gauge is if you come organically to our website and then click on it. Parents aren't really doing that because they're getting them in their inbox. However, we were able to measure that the numbers on our website actually doubled from the fall to the spring when we decided to do this. We also really honed in on the timing of Dr. Micah's messages. Whatever is happening at that time, that's what we should be focused on. So, for example, school choice information. So when that window is about to open for school choice and it's top of mind for parents, we're going to talk about that in his messages. The same with the magnet programs right before the applications are due, because that's when people are thinking about them, right? So that it's easy. People are, oh, I wanted to know that anyway. So now here we are. We did have some great results from this, as you can see here. Pretty incredible, actually, sticking with our magnet programs. When promoting our magnet programs, our SEO specialist recommended that we add the word school because parents don't seem to search by magnet programs, which is what school districts call them. They search by magnet schools. So that simple change by adding school to our magnet webpage, previously, again, it was just titled magnet programs. So by adding the word school, it increased our search impressions. And again, that means moving up that Google rank when you put it in. And you can see those numbers there on the left, which, again, are pretty incredible. Between October and December of 22 and 23, the page views, the users, the impressions all really increased quite significantly. And to put it into perspective, the search term magnet schools in Google, in May of 23, NEISD ranked 7th in the searches. And last month, we had moved up to 2nd. And so in a very short time period, really, that's been a tremendous growth there. Also, our applications for magnets, just the applications themselves actually increased 200 new applications from the previous school year. So again, just making some great strides there. Here are some more insights here. From August of 22nd to July of 23, we posted a total of 288 news stories on our main page of our website. So again, that main page is where most of our news is. I know you all are familiar with it, the slider there. We try to feature our educators. We had 70,525 page views during that time frame, and the average view is about 245 people per story that we do. And all of these news stories are done by 2 individuals, and they go out to the campuses, they interview people, they get what they need, they write the story. So they're doing great work, again, with not a lot of people. We also had nearly 5 million organic sessions through Google search in the past 12 months. So an organic session is when you go to Google and you put in either NEISD, or you put in a specific campus, or you put in a specific department that relates to NEISD. And when the user clicks on that NEISD page link. So again, that's 5 million people have done that organically. Of those 5 million organic sessions, 1.2 million were new users. So they had never visited our website before during that time period. So that's pretty incredible. We average 1.5 million monthly views to our website from Google, just from Google. And you can see there, those are the most visited if you're interested, those top 3 there. Our calendars, human resources, and our directory of staff. That's where most people are searching. Also worth noting, 68,000 people who were on our social media then decided whatever they saw that they liked or led them then to go to our website for more information. So 68,000 people then moved over to our website. So that's pretty incredible as well. So here are some other things that we do, just on the left-hand side there, the district website, plan and coordinate events like the Wall of Heroes event. I do want to mention this, coordinate the Superstar student. I'm not sure if everyone is familiar with that, but every month 2 students are selected from each school. Their principal puts them on the announcements, kind of gives them kudos at the school. We used to give them a little goodie bag, but this year we actually changed to yard signs, similar like to those yard signs that you would see for band, dance, athletics, and the kids just love it, right? They love putting that they're a superstar student in the front yard, and it really is a win-win because then we are getting word out about NEISD, and they're loving that they get to put a yard sign up. I want to touch on our brand pillars here. These are the idea that we put into every single story that we write. So that's kind of the lens that we look for and the angle that we want. To give you background on our brand pillars, in 2019, we worked with an outside company and we surveyed our parents. And our parents overwhelmingly told us that they wanted stories about our educators and that everyone is an educator. Our bus drivers are educators. Our school nutrition folks are educators. Everyone who works for this district is an educator. And so they wanted to know about those stories and know about the positive impacts that they were having on our students. And so every time that we do a story, that's what we're looking for. We're trying to highlight our great educators and how they're impacting students. As you all are aware, sometimes the media picks up on our stories, and that actually happens in a variety of different ways. Sometimes our team will send out press releases to events, and we will invite them onto campus and help them cover a story. Sometimes a reporter may reach out and say, I need a story today, do you have anything? That's our favorite because then we get to pitch them some awesome stories about whatever is top of mind for us. So most recently, I'm not sure if you all saw it, but I think it was 2 weeks ago, a reporter did just that, reach out, and they came out and covered Walsham Elementary School's Folklorico dance group. And it was very cute, and it was a wonderful, positive story. It was featured on Fox 29. Please also know that when media does come to our campuses, someone from my team is there. We don't want administrators or campus personnel having to worry or deal with that. So we will go out and we will meet the media there, and we will handle all aspects of that. oftentimes, and it's happened more and more recently, really since COVID, sometimes the news will just pull our stories straight from our social media, straight from our website. And that happened there in the middle. We announced something about a new college, high school at MacArthur, and the next thing we know, it's on the news. So that's especially exciting when they cover our stories like that as well. We also handle roughly 400 to 500 media inquiries a year. It's very rare that a day goes by that I don't get a call from a reporter. I had 4 today. And sometimes it's not anything you're going to see on the news, but they may ask about what's happening at the board meeting. They heard on the scanner today that there was an emergency vehicle at a particular campus. We were able to just say yes, a student hyperventilated and was having some trouble breathing and was taken by EMS. So that's not going to be on the news, obviously, but it is something that they call about and that we have to research and then find out and get back to them on. We also produce many publications. There's a list of them there, and I won't go all over them, but our biggest is really the Discover magazine, and it has won awards. It's a beautiful magazine. It does go out in the fall semester to about 200,000 recipients. So it doesn't just go to our parents, it does go to zip codes that are within NEISD. So it's about 200,000. Then we do it all again in the spring with another one, but that is a digital one that does go out to all inbox. This year, for the first time, I do want to let you know that communications is now handling advertising for this Discover magazine. So it's very new to us, but so far this year we earned about $3,000 in advertisements for this particular magazine, and we really do hope to increase that every single year in order to offset that cost. And then you can see a list of so many other publications that are done here. So before we get to our last key action, which we're almost there, y'all, but I do want to take this moment just to let you all know that since 2019, our communications team has won more than 130 awards from the Texas School Public Relations Association. So those are statewide awards. Those are video awards. Those are web awards. Those are social media awards. Those are crisis communication awards. And every year we bring home several gold awards, and we bring a best of category, which again, not the largest school district in the state, but really being recognized for the work that's being done. We've also won national awards from the National School Public Relations Association. And speaking of that, Dr. Micah actually was recently selected as a National School Public Relations Association as a 2022 Superintendent to Watch. And the Superintendent to Watch honor goes to school district leaders with fewer than 5 years of experience who demonstrate dynamic, fast-paced leadership with strong communication at its core. So that was a really big honor. We recently had a story in a video about a student at Bradley Middle School who is a track star despite being born with some physical challenges. And that award, one of our media production, Jimmy O'Halligan, put that together and was actually nominated for an Emmy. And it's not just an Emmy for school districts. We're talking the legit Emmys from, news stories and that sort of thing. So that was a really huge deal as well. Our team recently won the Golden Gribble Award from a woman named Andrea Gribble, who is really a big deal in education social media strategy. And she's constantly pointing to other people during professional development of other school districts, examples of NEISD. I say all this, guys, because, it's really nice to get awards, right? Okay. But it really shows an example that NEISD is thought of as one of the top in the entire state when it comes to communication and doing these type of things. And so I think that's a real big nod to the team. So I just wanted to take that opportunity to say that. Okay, So our last key action of the evening, 3.3, which is revamp the volunteer application process to align to more district needs. So the volunteer department established a new email account there that's very easy, volunteer@neisd.net. It makes it easier to share, easier to say, easier to just say, hey, go to this. It's easier to search. The volunteer page was also recently revamped so that it provides step-by-step instructions on how you can register, making it easier for the end user. An online newsletter also went out. The first edition was sent out in October. The idea is that the newsletter goes to school leadership and the front office staff so that when someone comes to the school and says, well, how do I volunteer? They have the information there at their fingertips to make it very easy to say, you do this, and you do this. For progress measures, we're tracking volunteer numbers twice per semester. And here's a look at the number of volunteers. We just started tracking in September and November this school year, but we did want to give some context for February and April as well. And as you can see, there has been an increase in volunteer participation this year. So looking at the snapshot of volunteers from February, April, September, and November, we are seeing a trend and a gradual increase, which is great. In Texas, the value of volunteer time, they estimated it at $29.86 cents an hour. That's according to the independentsector.org. And that means that so far this school year, our volunteer time is worth more than $2 million to our district. So we really, really appreciate our volunteers and all that they do. Looking ahead to our long-term outcomes, where we plan to increase volunteers, hours, and satisfaction as measured by a survey. So the volunteer department will launch an online survey in the spring, and we're planning to share it with new and current volunteers. And here are a couple of the tentative survey topics that we want to include, just how to better streamline it, how to make it easier. And one thing that we haven't done in the past that we want to do is really align the interests and the skills of the people who want to come into our schools, and really kind of say, here are the options that you have for your particular skill set, and really pair that up and make it as easy as possible. Okay, so that was a lot of information. If anybody has any questions, I do have some members of my team here for specific questions as well. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. First of all, if I didn't love this district so much, I would just absolutely, I'm just ecstatic at the work your guys are doing.
Thank
This
you.
is absolutely amazing.
Thank you.
That being said, it's really confusing to me because I don't know why or how, but it seems like, from the surveys, when I printed it out and did all this, now that I figured out how to use my printer with my, deal, what is it that, what type of feedback are we getting from people who are saying that they're not, we're not communicating with them? That's very confusing because it seems like the only thing you're not doing is juggling fire with, and dancing and, to get people's attention. So I would, like to know some of those comments that we're getting on why they don't feel like we're communicating well enough with them.
Yes, ma'am. We'll be going through those comments because I'm interested in that as well. I do wonder if how the question was written, I think it says communicating and seeking my input. I think that was the second piece of the question. So perhaps people may want to be putting input in more than what we may be asking. Unfortunately, there are some times that we can't ask for input. There are laws that we have to follow. There are certain things that we have to do. So sometimes when it comes to the calendar, for instance, or something to that effect, there are things that we have to abide by TEA, and we try to do our best to seek input, but we may not be able to seek input on everything. I just wonder if that may be part of the question, but I'm not sure. We look forward to going through those comments for sure.
Would there be any way that you could share that with us?
Yes, ma'am, absolutely. We just closed it on December 1st, and like I said, we had almost 300 comments, so we'll be analyzing those, and I'm happy to give you an update. Yes, ma'am.
That's great. Thanks.
I just had one overall, thank you for the updates. Canyon Ridge Parent Survey, I think is a great thing. I think what we'd like to see is that be consistent standard across the district at a minimum. I'm not sure. I know you said a lot of camps are doing stuff, but to me, that's a direct, what at every level where the parents can provide direct feedback, but do it once each semester, whatever, make it a standard. How the particulars, let each campus handle it, their communities. But I think that is one of those things we need to track that as part of that SMART objectives. But because obviously they already had feedback to change it for the clubs, which is a great opportunity. The Bagels with Bloomer, another great example, where we have specific events each semester, at least one on each campus as well, where it's just parent engagement. It's not dance recital PTA where they kind of condense stuff. But I think that's another way to really have an opportunity for the campus administration to share information and then also receive feedback. And then ultimately, if there are changes, doing that. But the Canyon Ridge example, I would like to see. I'm not sure if it truly is across the district, and that's the day-to-day piece, but I think that's something that should be the standard across there from my perspective, because obviously it sounds like it provided the staff some good direction, which, the parents, the kids, that's what we're all about, focusing on their opportunities to grow. So I thought that was very good. And then you answered my question, the open-ended question. So only if they give a negative response, there's place for commentary.
That is how we did it this first round. I just didn't want someone to put not at all satisfied or completely dissatisfied and not be able to expand on that, yes.
Sure. I don't know if we can do it where there's open-ended comments for all of them, because people might say, this is awesome because you
Yes.
give us the chance to do the magnet program or whatever, because you're getting both sides of the conversation. Because obviously there was a lot of, I know it's a small response group, less than 1%, but still those that did respond, we are thankful for. But the opportunity on all the surveys to do it. And if there's limitations, I think it's important to just say, hey, we can only take certain things if it's an individual, kind of like what Madam President says, certain complaints we can't deal with in this format.
Sure.
These are big picture type stuff, because people don't know that there are laws and some certain
Right.
restrictions. But that just explains it to them in a short sentence or two. But the progress is good, just to continue to see that engagement piece continue to grow, because I know we focused a lot on that feedback. So thank you overall. It was good.
Thank you.
Yes, and so Steve had my question. It's okay. I love this. I love the Student Voice Advisory Committee. I think that's amazing. I love that we're giving our students a chance to speak up and speak out and make them feel important and valued as they should be. The Canyon Ridge and Hidden Forest surveys, are those always open? Are they?
I believe they do it through a specific point of time, and then they are able to collect those, and then they may do another survey once different questions and different things focused on the feedback that they got from the first ones.
Okay. And so as Steve said, I think that's great to utilize across the district and have those surveys open more often than less often. I know sometimes those things can be magnets for when something's an issue.
We can certainly pass along that feedback, yes. I think those are great points.
And on Facebook, can our parents and community provide feedback on Facebook? And if so, what do we do with that?
As in the way of comments?
Right.
Yes, ma'am. Our philosophy really is that it's supposed to be two-way communication. And if you're only putting out information and not seeking anything back, it really isn't serving its purpose. Maybe that's my philosophy. But yes, so we do keep our comments open. Sometimes it's a challenge. But yes, I will say that we have a very strict protocol in my department that I expect that everyone gets some sort of an answer as soon as possible, but for sure within 24 hours. Even if that means we don't have an answer, but we're working on it, to let our community know that they've at least been heard. Sometimes we'll offer them our web address in the communications department and say, if you have more information or you'd like to discuss this, please email this, so that we can get them specific information. So yes, we try to keep up with all of that. Our social media person will see a comment, and if he doesn't know the answer, then he reaches out to that specific department in order to provide an answer.
Okay, great, thank you.
And also, I've seen that used to correct comments that are not the correct comment. Where if they're asking a question or they start going down the path of not what the message actually was, that our social media team will go in and say, well, no, here's the link to the specific agenda item or comment that was made, and so that way everybody has the correct information. So it's yeah, they're usually
And we
on
do
top
have
of
a
it.
protocol to where if someone's commenting, we have very strict standards in place that are terms of use, really, that has been vetted by the lawyer a long time ago before we ever went down this road. And if they're commenting on something that's not pertinent to that particular post, then they will be warned and then even blocked if need be. If they're giving personal attacks, it's maybe similar to what you all read at the beginning of the meeting from matters from the floor. So we definitely want to make sure that people aren't just using that as a forum to attack our employees either. So we do try to keep up with that pretty well as well.
I do. Could we meet the rest of the members of the team and a little bit about what they do?
Yes, I wish they were all here, guys, but some of them could not be here tonight. But yes, if you guys could stand up, that would be great. So you guys know Jason Gattel. You see him around here. He's the director of media production. Then we have our two storytellers right here. We have Evan and Lila. They're the ones that write all of the stories for the web main page there. We have Riley behind them and Maisha. Those are our web gurus, a designer and a developer. That's how they go. One has all the information, one makes it look pretty. And then we have Scott Chidgey here who runs our social media. And a couple of people had already previously asked for some time off, and so they weren't here this evening. And Jimmy and Rob are in the back making sure that this is being live streamed and all the microphones are working. Yes.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Okay. Anything else? All right, thank you for the great presentation.
Thank y'all.
Thank you to you and your team for everything that you do. Congrats on all the awards. Again, I know it's impressive to see how we're being recognized and not being the largest, right? All the things that we're doing. So kudos to all of you for what you do. Appreciate it.